Management, of course, once you make a diagnosis, is relatively straightforward. For distal RTA, you give soda bicarbonate. When you give soda bicarbonate, you will have improvement in terms of blood gas. And what will happen is that the potassium excretion will become less. So in that scenario, your hypokalemia will improve with treatment because your acidosis is going better. So hypokalemia improves with treatment. Now the option that you can use is either sodium potassium citrate, which was the earlier preparation of polycitra, which was being used. Portrate is the other one which contains potassium. So many patients, because you want to correct their potassium, you give portrate, it will help out in that regards. But the one which we are using now is sodium bicarbonate, which is the best one. Now tablets are available, syrups are available. They give you the actual amount of bicarbonate correction which is there from that regards. Now, when you talk about sodium versus potassium preparations, what will be the difference, Nimisha, if you give sodium versus potassium?
Sodium treatment, the volume depletion will not be there.
So
RAS activity will be on the.
So it will suppress that. So potassium will improve with both, because even if you give sodium, your volume becomes better, RAS becomes suppressed, and your potassium will become better. But urinary calcium may increase with sodium. Because when you're giving sodium, your sodium delivery is more. So sodium will come in, calcium will come out. So hypercalciuria, because when you treat hypercalciuria, you will say less salt. So that's why plain sodium may have a problem in that regards. But if your acidosis becomes better, it may improve. So it's like a both ways working. Volume will increase and hyperaldosteronism will come down. So this is an important thing to remember. With potassium, it's not going to be very big in terms of the volume from that perspective. So distal RTA, you want to keep bicarbonate 20 to 22. Dose is initially you may need more because you want to just correct the acidosis first, and then you can go back to 1 to 2 millimoles per kg per day, and sodium potassium citrate or soda bicarbonate as we discussed. Hypercalciuria, you don't want too much salt. And if it is persisting, thiazide, but most patients will improve even without thiazides. And if you give potassium in that scenario, it may be better. So portrate may be better if nephrocalcinosis is a major problem from that regards. Urinary calcium, ultrasound, and renal function should be monitored because long-term outcome mainly is renal failure. If your potassium levels are less than 3.5 and the patient is symptomatic, you have to give intravenous potassium, of course. If there is not, you give oral and then only you start the. Otherwise, if you correct acidosis quickly, you will have a severe hypokalemia, which is happening. Above 3.5, you don't need to bother about. In that scenario, you can just give your normal soda bicarbonate. Now, you expect growth to improve, rickets to improve. Hypercalciuria may happen if you're giving a sodium salt. So be cautious about that. If you have hypokalemia precipitation, you may develop a form of crisis or a flaccid paralysis. So tell them that this may happen or be cautious in that regards. Polyuria will improve and rickets is expected to improve also with time. We have seen patients, many patients with hypokalemic paralysis, and they tend to improve. If you correct them, they don't have it recurrence. So this is a very good scenario to go for. The proximal RTA, basically your main thing is that you give bicarbonate. Now, if you give bicarbonate, the problem is if you give too much bicarbonate, it will be lost in the urine. So while distal RTA will be more severe, proximal may be difficult to manage because it's like phosphate. If you give too much phosphate in hypophosphatemic rickets, it will be lost in the urine. Too much bicarbonate will be lost here. So you have to be a bit cautious. But problem is that here your sodium potassium exchange will happen. So hypokalemia may happen during treatment. So you have to be a bit careful from that regards. You expect improvement in growth, but rickets will not improve just by correcting acidosis. Acidosis is not the primary cause of rickets in proximal RTA. Phosphorus deficiencies. So correct phosphorus and vitamin D, and you will have improvement in polyuria as well. Hypokalemia may actually happen with therapy. So you have to be very, very cautious. If your potassium is 3.56, be cautious that this potassium may drop down from that regards. So you start off with a very high dose, 10 to 15 millimoles per kg per day. Sometimes giving thiazide and amiloride in combination may also be helpful. Potassium you have to give in certain scenarios, and phosphate, again, as I discussed, 50 milligram per kg per day becomes important. There is a risk of hypokalemia, and maybe you might need to add vitamin D as well. And then the requirement may gradually come down also over time. Monitor after a week, aim bicarbonate about 22, though it may not be very easy. 3 monthly follow-up is required. Type 4 RTA is more driven by the cause. So if you have hypoaldosteronism, give aldosterone. Pseudo-hypoaldosteronism, you give furosemide and soda bicarbonate. This we already discussed earlier. If there's a voltage defect, you give more sodium. So a lot of people, what they do, they give a lot of salt and then try to induce diuresis. So that's something which will be able to help out from that regards. Type 4 RTA may be self-limiting, but if you take care of their potassium, things will improve, and monitor for growth from that perspective. So we have discussed in detail with regards to the various aspects of renal tubular acidosis, both in terms of pathophysiology, in terms of assessment and management. There are a few questions which we'll take. Dr. Mamita is talking about how do we measure urinary CO2. Yes, Dr. Namita, so it has to be the same ABG machine. So if you really want to measure it, it should be taken in, so you have to have a container in which there is some oil, and then on top of that you collect the urine and then use a sort of a capillary to get the urine sample and put it in the blood gas machine. So it's not easy. So that's why, but this is the gold standard test. Otherwise you can do a urinary pH. No, it is not going to clot. So urine pH, oil covered urine sample to be sent, yes. Whether it will not show false positive lipid urea, no, the oil is just covering the superficial part. So you're basically going to take a dip, a capillary from beyond that drop. Because of the surface tension and the density, the oil will only float. What is the cause of hypokalemia in proximal RTA? It is usually when you're treating, you give them soda bicarbonate, the sodium is exchanged to potassium. That is the major cause, Dr. Rajib. Why potassium level may not be taken in calculating blood anion gap, but in urinary anion gap potassium is taken because in urine the potassium levels are very, very high as compared to the blood. So if you see blood, the sodium potassium ratio is 35:1, 140 versus 4. While in urine it is 1:1. So of course you can't ignore it. Any oral phosphate available? Yes, the Adphos is easily available. That is something which we use in terms of treatment of hypophosphatemic rickets. So these are easily available. So I think we will close the session here, and we'll be starting off with the next session in the next week from that perspective.